listening to the Post-Apocalyptic Media Podcast, your source for all the latest post-apocalyptic news.
Welcome back to the 76th episode of the Post-Apocalyptic Media Podcast. I'm your host, Sean, senior editor here at post-apocalypticmedia.com. And today, I'm going to tell you all about the week's news in post-apocalyptic media. That's how that works. That's how this works every week. This is how that works. So this week, I have some good news and bad news. You know, there's kind of all the way it goes. We have some new release announcements. We have some opinion articles and things like that. So, you know, pretty full up, right? But let's get started with this article here. This is actually written by Tina, and this is about Jurassic World Dominion. Now, this is a movie that just released last week, and a lot of people were wondering, is this post-apocalyptic? You know, the Jurassic Park movies have been out since the 90s. I remember seeing the first one in the drive-in theater, and you know, great movies, wonderful premise, but they keep making more and more of these movies. So it's like, so people are like, is this one? You know, the trailers and the reviews and everything look like it might be post-apocalyptic. Well, I'm going to leave spoilers out, and I think Tina does a pretty good job of that in her article. But basically what she's saying is it's not post-apocalyptic. And she says that it's, you know, you see the images of the dinosaurs running around in the trailer, but it's actually not. What they're doing is, the movie is about averting an ecological apocalypse and not one actually caused by the dinosaurs themselves. So I hope that's not a spoiler. I haven't seen the movie, but you know, it seems like, so what she's saying is it's not, you know, it's not the dinosaurs themselves. It's not post-apocalyptic. It's like about avoiding an apocalypse, especially an ecological apocalypse. So that's interesting. And what I thought was really interesting in this, now, you know, Tina, she's been on, you know, she comes on the show as a co-host about once a month. And you know, we have great fun on the show. But I have to point this out in her article, because this is so awesome. She's talking about how much of a Jurassic Park fan she is, and she says that she had a Jurassic Park themed wedding. That is amazing, and I'm gonna have to ask her about that next time she's on the podcast. All right, let's go into this next little bit of news here. This is some more fun news here. There's a new comic book series coming out from Boom Studios. And Boom is all caps with an exclamation mark at the end. So it's like, Boom Studios. You have to say it like that. They're doing a comic series based on the story of Sleeping Beauty. Now, you might be thinking, why is this post-apocalyptic? Why are you talking about this, Sean? Well, so the story of Sleeping Beauty goes like this. That she's cursed to sleep for 100 years, right? But she gets saved by a handsome prince. Well, this story, which I think is absolutely brilliant, and I kick myself for not thinking of this, what if she didn't get saved by that prince? What if, you know, she basically has to fend for herself after she wakes up. She wakes up, it doesn't say if it's 100 years later. I'm sure, you know, the timing of the story itself, Sleeping Beauty, I think it was like the 1800s, 1700s. So 100 years wouldn't be that, you know, that crazy, but what this basically is if she woke up 100 years later, but the apocalypse happened, right? The end of the world happened. So she's now in this, she woke up from her curse. There's no handsome prince to save her. She has to save herself. She has to fend for herself. But there's still from what I can tell, there's still a very fantasy aspect to this. You know what I mean? She has a sword in her hand. There's a castle in the background. So it still has that. So it's like, I don't know if that means the world ended like during the Middle Ages, or, you know, wherever this is set. And then, you know, here she is in like a fantasy / post-apocalyptic, which is, you know, that premise right there, that setting is one of my favorites. Like kind of a post-apocalyptic, where the world has ended, everything is decimated, there's a wasteland, but then we're starting to rebuild, and and we've rebuilt up to the point of the Middle Ages. I love that. Like, I have short stories I've written in that kind of universe. I love that kind of stuff. So it sounds like this is similar to that. Again, not a ton of information, but just knowing, that it's coming, it has that basic idea. That's enough for me. I'm really excited about that. It's coming from the writer, executive producer and writer of Iron Man and *Halt and Catch Fire* is Christopher Cantwell. He is the one who's writing for this project. The artists, now the art is amazing, which I love comic book art in general anyway, especially modern comic book art. It's like, it's, watercolors and inks and paint and acrylics and it's really gorgeous stuff. The artists really do a great job these days, I think. I think it's come a long way since, the G.I. Joe comics I read in the 80s, where everything was inked and, it was all done by hand. But, it's just like the style is just so much better. And so this is a good example of that. The artist, German Garcia, and colorist Matthias Lopez. They're the two artists that are working on this. There's also covers by various artists they'll be contributing various covers. So I don't know, it seems pretty cool. It's coming out in September, and it'll be coming to regular, comic book stores and also digital at that time. So you could look forward to that. This next piece of news is actually some sad news. There was a voice actor on the English dubbed version of Attack on Titan. His name is Billy Kometz. He was 35 years old, and he actually passed away this last week. He did, I think it's Nicolo, it's pronounced, that character on Attack on Titan. He also did a character, one of the lead characters in 86, which is a dystopian anime as well. He had stage 4 colon cancer, and he announced this in April. And then he stepped down from his voice acting roles in both of those anime. And it's sad news. Our condolences go out to his family, and it's a sad news for Attack on Titan fans and 86 fans, of course. All right, let's get away from the sad news. Let's get back into some happy news, I guess. It's hopeful news. Jeffrey Dean Morgan talked about the new Walking Dead spinoff he has coming out called Isle of the Dead. Now, to recap, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who plays Negan, and Lauren Cohen, who plays Maggie, will both be doing a spin-off together. They apparently have survived the events of The Walking Dead. We only have a couple episodes left of the last season. So we know that they survived, and they will be going to New York City, Manhattan specifically, and surviving against the zombies there, right? And that's why it's called Isle of the Dead. So that's the basic idea of this spin-off. Well, Jeffrey Dean Morgan is, people love him because he's Negan, and he's kind of, he's like bad guy turned anti-hero kind of guy on Walking Dead, but he's a very outspoken person on Twitter, on social media in general, but especially Twitter. He's not afraid to tell his thoughts on certain things. Like when people were attacking, I talked about this on a previous podcast, but when people were attacking Carol and Daryl, because Carol announced that she's not going to be on the Carol-Daryl spinoff show, which is a huge hit. That's a huge, huge thing. They're planning on making this thing, but they were going to make it over in Europe, and she said, nope, can't do that. And so we don't know what they're going to do. Well, people were attacking Daryl for it and saying like, oh, this is probably your fault. Norman Reedus, of course, is the actor's name who plays Daryl. So Jeffrey Dean Morgan says, wait a minute. This isn't how this works. It's not like he is just like, in charge of everything. I don't know. So anyway, so he's really outspoken. So he went on Twitter and said, hey, I just read the script for Isle of the Dead, and you guys are going to be blown away. He said, it's going to blow your effing minds, is pretty much literally what he said. He's already read the first season, Here's what he said exactly. He says, here's what I'll say about Isle of the Dead. I'm beyond excited. Thrilled to continue this TWD journey as Negan. I can't tell you excited I am to be working with Lauren Cohen. We've read the season. It's going to blow your minds. I repeat, and then in all caps, blow your effing minds. XOJD. I don't know. But so he's excited. I mean, he has a reason to promote this, right? He has a reason to get people to watch his spin-off show. But it's cool to know that that he's read the season. The season's done. The writing at least is done, and they're probably going to start filming pretty soon. So that's pretty cool to know. As a Walking Dead fan myself, I write all the recaps and reviews and everything of the regular show each week. When it's out. I'm excited about this. I wouldn't say I'm a huge Negan fan. I'm actually kind of not a Negan fan at all. I think I feel like, I don't know. I could do a whole podcast on that. I feel like people are giving him a little bit more leeway than I would. I'm kind of at Maggie level with leeway, where he says anything and she just gives him a dirty look like, you shut up, and I love it. But I don't know. People love Negan, so it'll be interesting to see how. Now, of course, there was a rumor before saying this is going to be a romantic spinoff between the two, but they have said no. This is not what it'll be at all. Lauren Cohen said actually in an interview, they are two people that are very much still not friends who are going to be seen in this new terrain. You'll see elements of each of their characters that will be new and challenging, and it's going to be awesome. So they're not friends, is what she's saying. So that dynamic will probably still continue. So, I mean, that's good. He did kill her husband, the love of her life, the father of her child, and we can't really just let him off with that, right? No matter how many times he tries to kiss her butt, it's just, it's creepy at this point when he does it. I'm like, shut up. Anyway, so let's get past that. Let's get to, now this is some exciting news. So you remember Will Smith, right? Will Smith, of course, one of the biggest actors of our time. I'll always know him as the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, that's kind of where that, that'll never leave my mind. The original, Parents Just Don't Understand. Man, I love that song when I was in 8th grade. So Will Smith, he did this thing back in March, right? Where he may have slapped Chris Rock across the face on national TV. He may have done that. It didn't look good. It was a bad idea. He, when I watched the video, he's walking up to him and it takes, a few seconds. And I keep thinking anytime now you could change your mind and not do this, but he didn't really get in trouble for it. Right. So it's fine. He actually still won Best Actor award for King Richard after slapping Chris Rock in the face on national TV. But all that aside, the Academy Awards banned him for 10 years. They said, we don't want you back. And I have a feeling they're going to recant that, but we'll see. So he was he went through some mud there, and he did interviews, and he made apologies and everything. And he said, and even his wife said, I'd like to see the two reconcile, but Chris Rock says, I'm not really interested in that. Anyway, this is not a Hollywood gossip show. So Will Smith is going to come back in I Am Legend 2. Now you remember I Am Legend, the first one from 2007. It was based on a book from the 50s. So I mean, and they've done kind of adaptations of it before. Omega Man was one. I think there's one called Last Man on Earth, something like that. The Last Man on Earth in 1964. 1971 was Omega Man. So the movie, the story is popular. The movie did really well. It won 9 awards. It was a big hit for Will Smith. And I thought it was a great movie. whole premise, with the dog and the I guess vampire type zombie things, more vampire than zombie. And so it would be cool to see a part 2. I would personally see it. I don't know. I personally don't really sit and hold grudges against people for stupidity they do. As long as he admitted it was stupid and just slapped Chris Rock, and well, nothing really happened, but I'm not going to boycott him or anything. So I think if he came out with this, I would definitely watch it. I'd be interested to see what it's about, and where he could go with the character from there. So, and he's actually writing it, like he's writing the script now. So he's obviously attached to the film. We don't know if he's going to be the lead role or whatever. Warner Brothers is supposed to be attached to the film also. We don't know for sure. None of this is official. It's kind of one of those things where the Sun, the UK's, I guess, periodical, The Sun, is the one saying that they had a source who said that he's doing this stuff. So take it with a grain of salt. We don't know how true it is, but there you go. I'd personally watch I Am Legend 2, but let me know, if you have kind of a stronger opinion on that, let me know what you think. All right, next little bit of news. Starship Troopers Terran Command is a game that's coming out Thursday, so probably the day you're going to hear this, the day this podcast comes out. So it's supposed to come out on Steam, and we don't know what time exactly, but most Steam releases are like between 10 a.m. and noon Pacific time, which is like 1 to 3 Eastern time. So, that's kind of a general release time slot for games on Steam. That's probably when this one will come out. It's a anticipated game. People have played the demo, although they took the demo off Steam a while back, but they were actually supposed to release this on March 31st. They postponed it a little bit, and here it is. It's going to release probably the day that you're listening to this. So that is something to look forward to. Also, now here is something, speaking of games, IGN had a expo, like a showcase last week, and it was called IGN's Summer of Gaming. This usually happens, so there's a whole backstory behind it. E3 happens this time of year. IGN kind of didn't want to be part of that, and a whole thing. I used to go to E3 every year when I worked for Massively and Joystick, and it's an amazing experience. I can't even begin to relay it, what it's like. GDC also is a little bit earlier in the year. Great experiences. If you're into gaming, pay attention to E3, because that's where it's all at. That's where the big stuff is at. So anyway, IGN had their own expo called Summer of Gaming, and they had a bunch of game announcements. IGN is so big that these developers will actually go through IGN and say, we'll announce our game through you instead of at E3 proper, right? I mean, that's pretty crazy. So what games did they announce that were post-apocalyptic? Well, actually quite a few. I noticed this. I'm going through these games. I kind of casually pay attention to this, but I noticed that there were a lot of post-apocalyptic games. I mean, a healthy amount of post-apocalyptic games, and that's it. It gives me hope, right? It gives me hope in my heart that post-apocalyptic games, and we've already known this for the last couple of years, are really increasing in popularity. Now, gaming in general skyrocketed during the pandemic. And ironically, you would think it's kind of a hit or miss. You would think, well, would people actually want to play something about the apocalypse while they're in the apocalypse? I don't know. Like, you play games to escape, but apparently they do. And apparently next year and the end of this year, we'll see a lot more of them. So let's go through a few of these. I listed my favorites. This is not even all of them. These are the ones that I saw that I thought were really cool. I think there's about 15 of them here. I don't remember. But anyway, so the first one is called Verge World. This is coming this fall. It's like an airship combat simulator. And what's cool is you get to customize your your airship, and all the maps are procedurally generated. So it's always new, it's always fresh. That sounds like a lot of fun. There's one called The Walking Dead Last Mile, which is continuing that Walking Dead story, the story-heavy games. Now, this is not a Telltale game. Telltale made the original Walking Dead story-based games. This is not made by them. This one looks like it's more of like a frozen area, cold, snow, ice, all that good stuff. It's coming July 11th. So that's coming up pretty soon. Next, we have Superfuse, which is coming later this year. This is like a Diablo-like action RPG. And it's actually a superhero game that's played like Diablo, but it's post-apocalyptic. So you have all those elements together. It's kind of cool. Void Train is... that one looks really cool. That one, it's not like a Snowpiercer type game where you're just on a train all the time. You're basically riding this train from different islands out in the void. Yeah, it's a little crazy. And then on the islands is where you build up your bases and your defenses for your train. You build up your train, and then you go to the next island and you do whatever. But they're solving puzzles is a big part of it. So that looks cool. Ship of Fools is kind of a little bit more of a cartoony, water-based. They say survive the aquapocalypse. It's a roguelike. So there's that, but it has some, very serious RPG elements to it. There's Forever Skies, which is, this one might, I don't know if I'd say this one's my favorite. Maybe. It's definitely the one that looks the most post-apocalyptic. Ruined cities, stuff like that. This is supposed to be, it's kind of like a mix of Subnautica, No Man's Sky, which I absolutely love, and Raft. I've streamed Raft quite a bit. I really like that game. So this one's very high on my list. That's Forever Skies. Outbreak Island is another one. It's like a first-person shooter where you're on an island and you're fighting waves of infected, like zombies and all kinds of infected types of things. Rose and Locket is coming in October. I don't think I said it, but Outbreak Island's coming in Q3 of 2022. Rose and Locket is coming in October of this year. This is another zombie game. It's very Metroid, Metroidvania kind of feel to it. Very cool. Wanderlost. I keep wanting to say Wanderlust because that's the actual word, but it's Wanderlost. That is coming to Steam and consoles, but they don't have a date for it. They don't have an actual release date. That's it's a cool looking game. It looks very, Stardew Valley. My Time at Portia, kind of. It looks like Stardew Valley, but it plays kind of like My Time at Portia. And My Time at Sandrock, which is the sequel, the amazing sequel that is out now. But Wanderlost looks cool. Survival, building, crafting, stuff like that. Very, very Stardew Valley, except there's zombies in it. Blood and Zombies, which is actually on early access now. I think like right when they announced it, it released. It was like the release day announcement. This is it's called Blood and Zombies, so you can guess. It's pretty much just a bloodfest zombie killing game. Humanit Z. You have to say that a few times. Humanit Z. It's like humanity, but a Z at the end. Which, when there's something with a big capital Z at the end, you know that it has to do with zombies, right? This looks very much like Project Zomboid, State of Decay, as far as gameplay style. You build your thing, you survive, you can get in cars, there's waves of zombies. Very, very Project Zomboid. The Entropy Center. Now this one looks cool. This one's coming to consoles and PC later this year. It's a puzzle game. Some people have called it like, the next Portal. I don't know if I totally agree with that because there's not portals from what I could see, but there's robots, there's puzzles. It's very kind of in that spirit of Portal. There's one called Industria, which is out now for PCs and console. This is also another one that just released. This is interesting. There's an alternate history Cold War, and this is a first-person shooter. The robots took over, right? So it looks a lot like kind of like a Fallout 4, BioShock mainly. It has some like Atomic Heart, which is another game that's releasing soon. It looks very similar to that. So if you like those kind of games, BioShock especially, this is probably right up your alley. And then there's Aliens Fireteam Elite. This is coming on August 30th of this year. Aliens Fireteam. This is a game that's already actually been released, but this expansion is called Pathogen. So it's an expansion for Aliens Fireteam Elite, not Firetime. That would be a fun game though. It's Firetime. So it's an expansion for this Aliens game. Now, the last one, I don't know if this one's my favorite. It's kind of a draw. I mentioned the other one was probably my favorite. This one might be second favorite. This is I Am Future. It's coming in 2022. No official release date for it. So you're a guy, you wake up after a 6-year cryosleep and you see that the world has ended. And you're on top of a skyscraper and everything around you is flooded, right? So what do? Well, you build, you craft, right? This looks very similar to a game I'm really enjoying now called Wylands, which is an exploration game. It's very cartoony though, and I think that could turn some people off. I don't really mind it, but it's polygon looking, survival game. You build, you craft, you actually in Wylands is pretty amazing because it's a survival game where you can build these boats. You can build your boat kind of however you like. And my friends and I play it, and we have giant steamships, and and you can also get tame animals for like riding on the islands, stuff like that. But I Am Future looks similar to that. Kind of has that same art style and the same premise. You're building stuff, you're surviving in the apocalypse. So I'm excited to see that one. That looks like a really fun. That one I actually wish listed along with the other one I mentioned, which I have forgotten the name of right now. Oh, Forever Skies. Yeah, Forever Skies. So those are kind of my favorites. Yeah, I would check out this article if you're interested in seeing any of these, because I put video trailers for every one of these games in the article. Check them out, watch all these, and see which ones you like the best. All right, I think that's probably about it as far as news. Right? We had our news, but also I wanted to talk about some of the stuff that's upcoming. Of course, we have Starship Terran Command, which was, releases today. Now, this isn't releasing, but the day before, which is that super hyped, beautiful looking MMO game. It's kind of like an MMO, I guess. That has been delayed indefinitely. And the reason I mention it now is because it was supposed to release next week on June 21st. That was supposed to be the time we're all going to enjoy this beautiful game. Now they're saying they don't know. They don't know when it's going to release, which is, that's pretty par for the course these days. June 22nd, Umbrella Academy Season 3. I didn't even know they were up to Season 3. I saw part of Season 1. That first episode of Season 1 is kind of an amazing episode, but I didn't know. So Season 3, there you go. They're up to Season 3. Westworld Season 4. Now that one I am caught up with, and that one I'm very excited about. That whole show is great. I mean, although Season 1 is the best, of course, as usually happens. But Season 4 is coming out on June 26th. So that's pretty much, that's the June in post-apocalyptic media. And then, of course, we have a bunch of stuff in July, but we'll talk about that another time, right? We'll talk about that as we get closer to July. We don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. But what is too far ahead of itself? That's not a segue. Is our calendar on postapocalypticmedia.com. You can go check it out on our sidebar. We have a calendar that tells all this stuff, all the upcoming games, books, movies, comics, all that good stuff in the genre, right? You can check us out on social media. We're everywhere. And especially make sure you check us out on Twitch, because I am having a lot of fun. It's the summertime, I have some time off. And I'm playing the heck out of games. It's really a lot of fun. Right now I'm playing Encased, which I'm really enjoying. If you're wondering about that game and you're kind of, wondering if you should check it out, I highly recommend it. And check out the videos of me playing it because I'm having a lot of fun. And then I'm also doing Fallout 4. I'm starting out over again in Fallout 4 with a heavily modded build, right? And I'm going to just play it till I break it. That'll be No, I don't want to do that. I'm just going to play some pretty heavy mods, just experiment with some mods here and there and just start a new game. It's been a long time since I started a new game in Fallout 4, so I'm excited, but at the same time, when you sit there and you think about how daunting it is, all the stuff in the game, and it's like, oh man, I got to get to this point. I got to get this companion again, and I got to go through all this. It's not that it's a bad thing, but there's a lot to look forward to there. So that's what I'm doing. twitch.tv/post-apocalyptic media. I'll have links to all that, of course, and everything I've talked about in the show notes for today. And you can check all that out. But I want to thank everyone for listening. This has been fun. And, I should be having some announcements soon for a couple projects we're doing here at Post-Apocalyptic Media. One of them is kind of my project, and Tina is actually involved also, and really excited about it. But all that will be coming soon. This is my big teaser. Oh, I hate teasing people, but there you go. It's a teaser. So again, thanks everyone for listening. I appreciate it, and make sure you check us out on the website and all of our social media. And until next time, make sure you stay alive out there and always be ready for the big one. See ya.